Howdy folks! Building with Buchanan here with another tutorial on Autodesk Fusion 360. Today I'm going to be making some holiday ornaments. So this is a pretty basic little snowflake that I drew up, mostly just to show you a few new tools in Fusion 360, but also, I put some holes in it so that I could put a string through it and hang this on my holiday tree. So let's get started. Let's make a new design and build this from scratch. So first off, I'm going to make a new sketch, and I'm going to make this new sketch on the front plane right here. And I'm going to start off with a new tool that I haven't used yet in this video series. I'm going to make a polygon, a circumscribed polygon. I'm going to start at the origin, like I always do. And let's start off with a 10 millimeter hexagon. That's 10 millimeters in radius? Diameter? I don't know. What is the length of a hexagon? I think it's the length. I don't think there's a radius to it. Anyway, so now that I got that one down, I want to just make one profile of this, and then I'm going to be mirroring one side of that profile, and then I'm going to use a pattern to make 6 sides, all of this one same profile. Now, I also kind of like to use the center point here, so some parts are going to be doubled up. You'll see later on how that looks, but basically, the next step, let's make a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start right in the origin point there. I'm going to go up, let's say 35. Let's do 35 by 3 millimeters. Why not? Okay. And next, how about I make another polygon, and let's put it somewhere around here, and this one's going to go a little bit bigger, maybe something like that, maybe even a little bigger. Sure, a 6 millimeter hexagon starting in any particular point, and click that to go. Okay, next up, I'm going to just make a few lines out here. So this one I want to come off. Now you notice how it knows what angle I want based on the other angles that I have here. So if I follow this line down here, you end up with those light blue marks, the parallel markers there. If I come out this way, it's not quite parallel anymore. There it is, at the 60-degree mark. And highlighted in blue is the length that I want, and so I want to type something in. Let's type in, let's say, I don't know, 8 millimeters. Let's see how that looks. Sure, let's do that. I'm going to make the same thing over here. Now, it's going to be a little harder to find where I want this one to be. Something like that. Yeah, for snowflake shape, maybe not. I'm just going to hit Control Z. I'm going to delete both those. I don't really like them like that. Start again. This one. Maybe I want it to come straight out like this. So you see how this made a little square there, that light blue square. That's now telling me that I'm 90 degrees, which is perpendicular from this edge here. So let's do that. Maybe I go out, say, 8 millimeters on that one. And what if I try making a rectangle now of this spot? That's not quite what I want. However, just hit Control Z to get rid of that. There is another rectangle tool here called a 3-point rectangle. So I could click one point here, I could click the second point there, click the third point there, and bada bing, bada boom. I've just made a rectangle which is sitting a little bit wonky. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's just pretend for a second that this corner here is my snowflake. It's looking pretty basic right now. Let's add a few more things in there. Of course, I need to add some circles too, just to make sure that I have a place to actually hang this by. So why don't we throw one in, how about here? Now, I like to use these little blue markers to tell me where everything is. If I sort of hover over this point and hover over this point, and I go halfway in the middle here, you get that triangle. That little triangle right there tells me that I'm in the midpoint between this line and this line. So I'm going to hit that triangle. I'm going to make a circle, how about, say, 3 millimeters. That looks pretty good. What else can we do? Well, maybe another one over here. And I'm going to cut out a little piece like that. So make that one 3 millimeters too, just to make sure it all looks kind of the same. I'm going to put one up here as well. And this one's going to go, sure, 3 millimeters. All the circles look the same. What else can I do in here? Well, how about some other polygons? What kind of other polygons can I make? How about something around about here? And I want it to be, yeah, let's say 1 millimeter in radius? I need to Google this. 1.5 millimeters length by, I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to change the amount of sides here. Why don't we do 3 sides? Make a little triangle. Nah, I don't like that. How about 4 sides? Well, that's just making a square. That's not very fun. How about 5 sides? That also looks kind of funny. What about 12 sides? Well, that just looks like a circle. You would never know the difference. Okay, let's go back to 3. Sure. It's a snowflake. They're all unique anyway. All right, so now I got some basic shapes in here. Maybe the base is looking a little bit drab, but that's okay. Let's get on with the video. So now I got all of these shapes, and as I go through and highlight them, you can see how they all kind of light up with that dark black highlighting around them. What I want to do is mirror some of these shapes, but I don't want all the shapes. Like all of the inside shapes that are unnecessary, I want to trim them all off first. So this is what I'm going to do. This is the trim tool. It's a really handy tool. I'm just going to take out any of these inside lines, which don't matter anymore. So I don't want that one. I don't want that one. That's not actually a line. That's the dimension. That's that 3.0 dimension there. Don't need that line. Oh, a constraint was removed. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that so that I get a nice little inside curve like that. What else do we have? I don't need the second half of all these things, so I'm going to get rid of those too because they're just going to get in the way later. Don't need that. Don't need that one or that one. And we don't need this or this anymore. And, well, that should about do it. I think that's going to be enough. So, at that point, I'm just going to hit escape to get out of that trimming tool. And then I want to mirror some of these features over to the other side. Now, if I just select, okay, let's say I select everything, and I go to mirror. Now it's selected 63 objects, so all of these individual lines are all an object, and I want to mirror it on, say, that line there. Something just doesn't quite work. I'm not quite sure why, but Fusion can't think through this one, just because we've already selected our mirroring line as an object that is getting mirrored. And I don't know, computer logic, sometimes these things just don't work. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to unselect this middle line right here. And then select that same middle line. Voila. Hit OK. And now we have a whole whack of constraints cluttering up our view, but that's okay. We can see that we now have our sort of basic shape here. I'm just going to trim out those inside lines. There we go. So now we have basically like 1/6 of our snowflake. I'm going to finally finish this sketch because it's getting rather busy. It looks like I missed a couple parts, but that's okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this whole shape here. Not these holes that I've cut out. I'm going to leave them cut out. And let's extrude that, let's say 3 mils or something like that. How did that look? That looks pretty good. Might be a bit thin. I can always change that later though. Okay, so next I want to use what's called a pattern tool because I don't want to have to make this whole shape again. The same as how I mirrored this side, so I didn't have to put in that circle and that triangle and that other circle, all those other shapes. I could just mirror it and just have everything done for me. One of the beauties of the mirror too is, let's say that I don't really like this triangle. So let's go back to this original sketch. I'm going to edit the sketch. And maybe the triangle's too big. It's just taking up too much space there. So I'm going to change that 1.5 millimeters to 1 millimeter. Hit OK. Finish the sketch. And now I don't have to do that again on the other side. Everything's automatically changed based on the first shape that I made, which is awesome. So I want to create my pattern. I don't want the rectangular pattern. That's a tool for another day. Today we're going to be doing the circular pattern. And I want to make sure that I'm selecting bodies, not faces, so that's why I extruded the shape so that we get one nice solid body here. We don't have to muck about with all these other faces. And I want to circularize this whole pattern based on one of the origin axes, which is exactly why I make all my parts starting on the origin axis. I want it to rotate on this blue axis here. Alright, so now we got 3 sides of our snowflake. We can just up that 4, 5, 6, because for some reason snowflakes always seem to have 6 sides. And hit OK. Cool. For not a lot of work, I just made a whole bunch more shapes in there. Now we're not quite done. I just want to show you one more tool in this video. I'm going to select everything because right now we have 6 different bodies. And if we go to print things, the way to 3D print stuff is to right click on the body and hit save as STL. And if we did that, we would only be printing what's highlighted in blue right now. So what I'm going to do is get everything and combine them. And hit OK. There we go. So now we've shrunk all our 6 bodies down into one body. Now if we right click and save this to print it, there it is. Our whole shape is one. What a lovely snowflake. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Catch you next time.